Hey guys, I'm Matt,
And I'm Jordan.
and this is the first first episode of Couch Pillow Talk.
Yep, that's the name of our podcast for now.
You damn right.
Oh, man. So Matt and I wanted to do this for a long time because we just talk about stuff and we're like, we
Yeah.
could talk about it and people could listen.
We're pretty good at having conversations.
So most of this stuff's going to be about video games
Yeah.
and stuff about video games. And the first thing I've got here is, are video games too expensive?
Yeah, okay.
So Matt, how much was The Witness to your recollection?
I don't know, 30?
No, it was 55.
55.
$55 for The Witness,
Okay.
which we got a lot of time out of.
Oh yeah, so much. Like, okay, for The Witness, I think for people who aren't into that sort of game, like, super hard into it, it's a bit much.
It wouldn't be worth it.
Unless they were like challenging themselves to play it more, and then you would get like so many hours out of it and it'll be great. If you're like me and you just got super obsessed with it, you play it for less time, but you just loving every second of it. So I think it's worth it in the end anyway.
Yeah. I feel the same way, but the big problem that's going on now is a bunch of indie games on Steam, including Firewatch, which we've both played and we both
Yeah.
enjoyed. And there's another one that we don't know about called Brigador. If you don't know what Brigador is, it's a $20 early access game. And it's isometric, mech tactical, real-time shooter, some sort of thing.
What?
So the breakdown is it's $20 on Steam, which
Yeah.
I think is pretty good. Indie games are usually about $20 on Steam, but people
Yeah.
having a big whinge saying that they think it should be worth at most $15. Like, I don't get this culture we're in where it's like, we're the consumer, we can demand exactly what we want, and it's like, just because it's our money, we're the right person. It's like, well, okay, so they spent 5 years up to now working on it,
Oh.
which is a long time to commit to something,
Yeah.
and they've been working full time. This is the dev breakdown that posted on Steam
Yeah.
to all the negative hate. They've been doing full time 6 to 7 days a week,
Yeah.
8 hours a day, 8 hours plus. So sometimes they're working overtime. So that's about 10,000 hours a week per person. It's a 4-person team. And there's no Kickstarter, no publisher. It's all out of their own pocket. So they're putting their life into this pretty much. And when they sell it for $20 per copy, when they factor in Valve's cut and taxes in their state, it equals to about $10 per copy. So halving what the actual price is. Now, if we were to charge, if they were to charge $15 for the same product, effectively slashing that in half, they get $7 per copy sold of a game that they've been investing their
5
life and
years.
soul into for 5 years. Like,
The problem is, like, people need to have an understanding of the fact that, like, people just don't do things for free.
yeah.
And games
They
have gotten so much cheaper than they used to be. Like, I even remember, like, when we were kids, like, well, not even kids, like, not even that long ago, when games came out, they'd be like $100.
Like, Nintendo 64 games usually ship for about 60 to 100 on the scale.
Yeah, but like the Division came out today as of when we're
Yeah, we
recording
were
this,
just in JB.
$69.
And yet there was some anime Japanese RPG game, and it was $89.
Kung Fu Panda was $74.
This Japanese game, it wasn't even a forefront game. It was given like a back shelf
Yeah,
spot where you don't see it straight away, and it was $89.
it's just ridiculous. Like,
Like, Fallout 4 is still a front shelf game. It's right there when you walk in, and yet that's down to like $50?
yeah, and especially for indie developers who don't have funding, who don't have
Publishers.
yeah, or publicity in general.
Yeah.
It's hard to get it out there, and
They're-
they're going to make less than AAA titles anyway.
They're a breakout studio, and they've done all this hard work, and it's
Yeah.
like,
To complain about it's just like, all right, well, if this would be my response. All right, well, when you go to work, we're going to cut your salary in half. And just because we think that's what your work should be worth.
we just think that's fair.
Would you be fine with that? Probably not.
It would suck, man. I feel so much for the developers that have to walk in one day and the leader of their 4-person team is like, we're not doing well on Steam
Yeah.
because people think our game should be cheaper, and you're just cut down because you're like, this just went early access. Now I have to sit here today and work on this game that not anybody's liking. It's like,
And then the dilemma is, if you make it cheaper, you're gonna lose out. But potentially more people will buy it. But if you make it cheaper, a lot of people will also overlook it because they're like, oh, it's just a cheap game.
It's just a
It
cheap.
probably sucks. And then, but if you keep it the price it is, there's just no way of knowing how many people are going to buy it or how many people will just be like, screw it, it's only $20, it's only $5 more.
And it's like $20. Who knows how many hours you're gonna be able to get out of that game? Like Gunpoint is how much was that? I think I paid $15 for Gunpoint. That game is so good. I could boot it up right now and play it, and I'd be having fun because it's like, do you know what Gunpoint is?
No.
It's almost like a puzzle game where you can move around the map because you have these jump boots that let you move around, and it's like it's a 2D plane, and you get these things that let you rewire electrical outlets, so you can rewire a light switch to open a door as long as it's on the same system, and you puzzle solve by doing that, and it's a stealth game, and we love stealth games. But yeah, that was $15, and I've had it for so long now. Like I could open up Steam and look at what my playtime is right now, and it's probably a lot more. Like if we try and put it into terms of like how many hours per dollar, I've probably gotten more than my money's worth out of it, and yet like people are like, no, I'm going to complain about it.
If they, the only way they can really make it cheaper and make it work for them is if they have like advertising in the game and all that sort of stuff and sponsors and whatever. Like there's heaps of free to play games that do really well because of all that, or microtransactions.
Yeah, they really market their games in a way that works for them, and it's like, but just what right do you have to decide that this game should be cheaper? Like, here we go, I'm looking at it now. 15 hours I put into Gunpoint.
Yeah.
So if I did pay $15 for it, that means I've gotten $1 per hour of time played, and I could still go and play it now and enjoy it. And there's user-created stuff in it as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you could just keep playing it forever, and it's like, all you did was pay $15. And it's like, I can't say for sure about Brigador. I looked at some videos. I didn't really see much of it, but you could probably play that game for a long time as well.
The pitfall is some developers are just going to make crap games, and then they're going to say the same thing of like, oh, we worked on this for so long and it needs to be more expensive than
But
that.
yeah, it's so hard because they probably still did put in a lot of effort. Just because something becomes bad,
Yeah.
like we were talking to Ross the other day about it, and this is going to lead into our Metal Gear Solid discussion later on. But a developer puts so much time into something. When they ship that product, everyone always has this negative opinion when something goes badly for a developer. They're like, oh, they just didn't put the effort in, or like, oh, they skimped on that so that like the game didn't look as good when it came out. It's like, no, they worked on it and they showed it to like all the team that worked on it, and that was the vision they wanted, and they've gone, yes, ship that. And it hasn't worked out the way they wanted it to. That doesn't make the game inherently bad or like make them the bad guy. It's just what they wanted, and it didn't translate to what the consumers played.
It's so hard to know what, like, even if you have your target audience and your demographic in mind, it's just so hard
How do you predict what they're going to want to play?
What they're going to think when they're playing it, how they're going to receive it. It's just...
It's a risk. The whole game industry is just a risk.
That's the good thing about betas, I guess, but it's just crazy. I can't imagine doing it.
How long do you think we played The Witness for?
Oh, well,
A while.
So I played it. At first, I played it at Mark's house, and I finished the first half of it there, and then I came over here.
And I'd already finished some of it.
Yeah,
Not
so
a
we
lot, but
finished the
some of it.
second half of it here.
Yeah.
So I basically finished the whole thing, but I don't know, so long, because it was a good few trips back and forth.
And also, I feel like we've left it for long enough now. If we went back to it, the first part of it would be easy, like Symmetry Island and all that sort of stuff would be easy. But once we got back into the hard stuff again, it wouldn't be committed to memory. We'd have to re-solve it. And it's like, that has replayability. And for an indie game, $55 is a fair bit. But for what the game was, like, it looked pretty, it was well designed, or it taught you everything
There's
really
so many
well.
secrets in it.
There's a lot of secrets. But, like, all the puzzles were taught to you.
Yeah.
Except for, well, the arrow ones, where it's like how many times you have to touch the edge of it. That wasn't inherently taught, but there's still a way you can go and learn it. So it's like everything was taught really intelligently, and it was an intelligently designed game.
Yeah.
And
it
yet,
didn't spoon feed you.
People were like, nah, $50, $55 is too much. The other thing I want to say is, we'll move on. Firewatch, that's another game we played. How long did it take us to finish that? I think when I first played it might have been about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe when you came over it was about 3.
Something like that.
Well, it's $18 US, but on our market, everything gets converted upwards because of our dollar being worth. Is it less? I think.
Yeah, less.
So when I bought it, it was $30 Australian,
Yep.
and I love it. It's so pretty. Everything in it's so good. It's such a chill game. Like, I feel like if I have a bad day when I'm out and about, I would be like, I'll go play some Firewatch. I'll just have a nice, relaxing time because you just walk around and you talk to the person on the radio, and it's just so peaceful. But there was a thing where it's another Steam thing as well. The guy jumped on Steam and was like, "I finished this in just under 2 hours." And the Steam return policy is if you haven't played over 2 hours, you can return the game and get your money back. And he's like, my dilemma is I liked it, but it was too short. So do I return it or do I keep it? And the developer, I can't remember what her name is, but one of the artists that worked on it actually jumped on and like poured her heart out and was like, we put so much time into this, it was a risk. I keep saying risk because the Risk board game's over there, but it was a risk. They had to take a chance that their idea that they liked that was experimental would work.
Yeah.
And I can't remember how long they developed it for. I only found out about it about a year ago. But yeah, it's just they put so much time into it, and for someone to be like, I'm going to return it, they're like, well, now we're losing profit. Even though you've played it and finished it, you can still return it and we'll lose profit. And it's like, that's not really cool, man.
And even if it's not that long gameplay, besides the fact that it's really enjoyable and calming and like the story's really great, I'm still, because the ending's somewhat ambiguous.
And people trying to still delve into the mysteries because
Exactly.
I don't really spoil much of the
still-
game, but like
There's still hours afterwards where you're
there's
thinking
a section.
about it.
You go through the game and it presents you with these mysteries and stuff that you don't really know the answers to. And as you go along, you're sort of starting to figure stuff out. And the radio contact is the only person you can talk to. Actually, no, there's 2 twins you can talk to, but that's like a short thing. Like at the very beginning, you don't really talk to them after that. But like you just go through and you've only got one person to talk to, and it's like stuff starts getting weird. And you don't know whether you can trust anybody. But then once the game's over, you know what the presented answer is, but you don't know for sure if that's the actual answer. And like, if you go back and play through it, there's still other things you can try and figure out and be like, well, what if this is what the actual truth was?
Yeah, 'cause
And
I've got some theories about it.
Yeah, I saw a theory video. Again, I'm not going to delve into it now in case people want to play it, but
Yeah.
I saw some interesting theory videos, and there's a lot to that game.
And the whole thing of the guy complaining he was $18 and he finished it quick. And
$30.
It's $30.
$30 here, and I still love
Yeah.
the game. I will still go back and play it. I got the chuffing theme on my PS4.
So for it to be cheaper for them, and them to complain about it,
Yet on our hand, it's more expensive, and we still love it.
maybe that's back to the thing of putting more value on it because we paid more for it.
Maybe, I don't know. But at the same time, like, oh, okay, well, you know, Murdered Soul Suspect.
Yeah.
That game came out for like $60, $70 or something like that around here. And Jeremy was interested in that. Jeremy's my brother, and he loves investigation and like thriller style games.
I was so keen on that game before I played it.
Yeah, he was very interested in it, and I was like, this is back when I did listen to reviews a lot, and I looked at it. I still listen to reviews, but not as much. And I was like, it's getting like 6s and like 65% and stuff like that. I was like, let's just leave it for a bit and see what happens. And then maybe 6 months later, I saw it in EB Games for $20, and that's when I bought it. And then I actually enjoyed it a lot because even though it wasn't a great game, it was like I paid $20 for this because it was on sale, and I got more enjoyment because of that.
And you got a platinum out of it.
The platinum was actually frustrating. I don't know why, because most of the games I play, if I'm platinuming them, I can usually read stuff from a guide and then go and play them. And if I'm getting bored, I can put on YouTube videos because I can watch and play, and that usually gets me by. But the collectibles, I had to watch a video guide for collectibles, so it's just walking around monotonously trying to match where the video was walking around. Just it's not a fun time. But I did it in the end. I did it on New Year's Eve at midday. And that was my 30th platinum. And my goal for 2015 was to get 30 platinum, so I did it with 12 hours to spare.
I hear most people was like, oh, this year I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get us.
This year I'm getting 40 platinums. This year's going to be 40.
Yeah.
It's not even going to be that hard. I'm
Big
already
4-0 guys.
I'm already up to about, it's either 33 or 34.
Nice.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, I think the thing is that people want everything to be cheaper. So they want the indie games to be cheaper than that. But then the bigger games, their season passes are getting so expensive for some of them. It's basically buying
A whole new game.
yeah, and that's like a full game price. Like if you got an indie game for $20 and then it had like a $70 season pass, you'd be like, what the hell? That's not okay. But because the game was more expensive, like,
When it's like a AAA title, you go, well, that's okay.
guess you might as well buy like 4 indie games.
Yeah, like, what was it? Terraria that we bought on a whim
Yeah.
for, it was $20? Yeah, it was $20. I got someone else to buy it for me, and I gave him cash. I played it for 82 hours.
Nice.
And again, if we're doing that dollar per hour scheme, which I've heard a lot of people talk about on YouTube, like I told you about those guys that podcast I listened to before, they have one of them has a $1 an hour idea, and that's a bit weird. But like $20 for a game, and I got 82 hours out of it, and I could go back to it and play it some more because there's so much stuff to it.
Yeah.
Like indie games have really unique ideas and stuff that make them stand out from others. And it's really, and like games are getting actually cheaper these days as well, and yet people are still like complaining about being entitled. Like if we look at in the 16-bit era, if you adjust for inflation, buying a 16-bit game when it was new today, it's $116 in the same currency, just inflated. Like the prices have changed and stuff. And it's like we were happy paying an amount of money back in the day, and now it's like we want to pay less. It's like why?
I guess it's because it's become more accessible to have a console in your house, so it's not like a huge thing to go out and buy a game. You can, especially with like, you know, like online stores and that now. And okay, PSN as well. You get 3 free games a month.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I'm not on the 12-month plan at the moment, but the 12-month plan is $70.
Yeah,
$65, somewhere around there. And it's like Action Hank, the game you've probably seen us playing, or will see us playing.
Yeah, you will see us playing.
Yeah, that came out, and it was a contender to be a free game, because I remember voting for it to be a free game.
Yeah.
And it lost out to Broforce, which is also very good.
Yeah.
But Action Hank came out on its own later on, and it was $16. And as I'm buying it, I was like, this is almost one of the free games. And I'm like, we've got 3 free games this month. If they were all $16, I pay for the $30 per 3-month plan. So I'm spending more money in the end. But like just looking at it, I was like, I'm getting way more than my money's worth in just the free games every month. And then it's like, I'm also paying to play online as well. It's like all the benefits you're getting out of it. And people still complain. And they're having to pay subscriptions. I'm like, it makes sense though. Like they're offering you online servers, all that jazz. And if all you had to do was pay for a game, you could play online forever. It's like, they're losing out in that case.
Yeah. It's just one of those things.
It's one of those things that we don't understand. Where we're like, this makes sense in my head, but you're hating on it, and I don't get it.
Feel free to have a debate with us in the comments.
Yeah, if you have opinions that you, or if you disagree with our opinions, yeah.
If you make some really good points, just send in questions and stuff. We'll address them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you want to get onto?
That pretty much exhausts my stuff about video games being too expensive.
Do you want to get onto Metal Gear Solid?
The whole Konami Kojima thing. So, for those of you who haven't been following Metal Gear Solid 5 religiously like I did since... When was it Ground Zeroes was announced? 2012?
Probably.
Yeah, it was 2012. So, 4 years ago. Damn, that's still really like... Can't believe how quickly it's gone. But, yeah, there's a whole thing with Ground Zeroes coming out, and it was... I think I paid $40? Yeah. I pre-ordered it and got it for $40. And I think I must have played that game for like 80 hours, even though it was just the same. Well, not same, but even though it was just 5 missions in there.
Yeah.
It was like it was a taste tester for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and I really enjoyed it. And then Phantom Pain came out, and there was the whole Konami Kojima Fallout thing that happened. Not Fallout the game, obviously. Fallout like the word Fallout, where something bad happens and there's a consequence. But so, how much do we want to talk about the story of Metal Gear Solid 5?
At least keep the ending under wraps.
Yeah. So there was an ending to Metal Gear Solid, and there was a big negative reaction to said ending, but I liked it. Pretty sure you liked it as well.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, like Kojima and his team had a vision, and they had the way they wanted it to end, and it made sense to them, especially with the rest of the games as well, because this one's like a prequel, sequel, like it falls right in between them. And yet, everyone says, oh, you know, it's a crap game, you did it wrong, blah, blah, blah. And they also said stuff like, because it came out right in the midst of Kojima and Konami splitting up.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, Konami deliberately cut stuff from the game, or had Kojima deliberately cut stuff from the game to speed up the development process. And it's like, I've played the missions a lot, and you look at what's there, and everyone says it's incomplete, and I go, it's not really incomplete though, because in all the other games, you never have the full story by the end of it, and everyone thinks because this is the last one with Big Boss, that it has to all be complete now, and it's like, with a Metal Gear game, you never know the full story, and it's like, you know enough to keep going through, but then there's stuff where you can try and fill it in yourself and talk to your mates and figure it out.
Yeah, I guess that was a struggle. They would have had to not neatly wrap it up, but do that at the same time, because was going to be the last one, but I'm pretty sure they're planning to do more now without Kojima.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like a new saga, like different characters maybe.
Yeah.
I hope they don't use the same characters.
Probably Revengeance too.
I don't think I'd even mind. Revengeance is a bloody fun time.
Yeah.
Did you play that?
Yeah, no, yeah. I enjoyed it, but then I never played it again.
Oh, there's so much like hype stuff to it, but the story to that is also really ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's so fun. Such a fun game. But alright, so all that stuff about MGS5 being incomplete, and there was that episode they cut out, episode 51, that they put on the collector's edition disc, and you can watch like the cutscenes and stuff from it.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone says that would have been a better ending, but the ending to that episode that got cut out, that's an ending for a different character. It's not even for Big Boss.
Yeah.
It's a different character that you see in that story entirely, and it's like, how would that have been a better ending?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, now we know what happens to this character and like another character, not the main character.
It's kind of like, imagine watching like Lord of the Rings, and Frodo and Sam go to Mount Doom, and they're
But
going to throw the ring in.
they cut out like
and-
Aragorn's story or something.
No, and then the Aragon story is what they finish on.
Oh,
You like, they're about to go into battle, and then the battle ends, and then like, oh well, that's all then.
Yeah.
And you have no idea about what happened.
but see,
to Sam.
at the same time, bringing that episode back in would have been cool if it wasn't episode 51. If that one was like episode 50, and the very final one was episode 51
Yeah,
that we saw instead. Because I just really feel like what we ended with was the right thing to end with.
yeah,
Like it has a sort of finality to Big Boss's story going into Metal Gear 1,
yeah,
and I really liked the twist. It's a Kojima game, obviously, so there's going to be some sort of twist in there. And I remember playing it, and I read a bit about the twist, like by accident, and then I was like, oh, nah, that was a fake topic. That must have been a lie. And then there's something in the game that makes you be like, oh, this ties together, but then it doesn't.
yeah.
And when it doesn't, if you know this detail, when I found out, I was like, it started kicking around in my head. I'm like, nah, that thing I read is going to be true now. And it messed me up.
Yeah.
It made the game a lot more interesting, because like, the whole time it's plaguing me. I'm like, this is going to come true, and I don't want it to. Oh, man. But
I think it was very clever.
getting back to the... Well, not getting back to it, but coming back around to the argument of paying for a game. How much was that on release? I think I paid $90. Because I didn't get any special edition stuff. It was just a $90 game. And I've now played that for about 140 hours. And I'm still not done yet. And I could still just go back and play it now and enjoy it, because there's so much like uniqueness to everything. Like you go back and sometimes the guards have different ways to combat you, and you hate it because you want to shoot them in the head with your tranquilizer and they're wearing a helmet.
Yeah, I
That's
think
the worst.
it would be really smart if they released like little updates to the guards and that, just like extra things that are just new, because like times progress as you've been playing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they have a new gun, or like some of them ride bicycles.
What was it? They introduced... They've been updating it regularly, and the last grade of weapons was grade 5 when the game came out, or was it grade 6? I can't remember if it was grade 5 or grade 6, but you know, you could upgrade your weapons to a certain grade, and that was it. You had nothing else to do. But as they've updated it with like events and like all that stuff you can play, the last one's now grade 9.
Yeah.
And by playing events, you can unlock these grade 9 weapons. And one of them is like another like anti-material rifle, like the ones you have in the game. And then there's one that's like a pistol, and it's a trank pistol, but it shoots little gas pellets. So when it hits an enemy, it's like sleeping gas.
Yeah.
And that helps you counteract that thing with the helmets. And I remember all the people that saw that were like, that's going to make the game way too easy. Now you got a gun that shoots sleeping gas grenades. It's like, okay, you had sleeping gas grenades before. If you throw a sleeping gas grenade at too many guards, they start wearing gas masks, I've noticed. Like, I never saw that the whole time I played. I played through the whole game, I never saw that. Like, Kojima said when the game's going out, if you play it for 100 hours, you can still find new stuff. It was about 120 hours that I found out they wear gas masks after a while, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah, it's very well thought out.
And, like, I've got a bunch of mates that hate the way the game's presented. They hate the episodic
yeah, I never
thing,
got that.
the TV show thing.
I mean, I never got them hating it.
Yeah. It's like, I played Peace Walker, and it would do a mission, and then take you out of the mission, and you could do stuff, and then go back into the mission.
How did they feel
And-
about like Walking Dead game and that? Have any of them play that?
I don't know, actually. feel like at least one of them would have, but that's almost a different thing because it's like the episode comes out and it's like a 2 hour, or depending on how quick you go, it could be like an hour and a half, 2 hour thing, and then you have to wait. But that's, again, you have to wait for the next episode.
Yeah.
This one was like, you have everything there, it's just, they present it like a TV show because it's missions, and Snake doesn't spend all his time in the field. He goes out, he does something, he leaves.
Back to the just quickly back to the, because this kind of ties in the episodic game and paying for an indie game. Life is Strange.
Oh, so good.
I don't remember how much it was. It wasn't that expensive. I think it was
I paid
$30.
I think for the whole thing was $30 for me as well.
That game was amazing. It looked really nice.
But
the
it didn't
story.
Look. Yeah, they could have done so much better, and they stylized it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've noticed a trend in games these days, they can make it look super realistic, but then they don't, and it almost looks better when they have like a style to it, like an art style they target.
They saturate it and they play around with the lighting and the colouring and everything, and it's really cool.
Like, Firewatch was like all cartoony.
Yeah.
And that looked brilliant.
Yeah. But, the point is that game, I'd, play an episode, and then it'd leave it on a cliffhanger, and I'd wait. And I played all the episodes, and I flippin' love that game. It's amazing.
I remember there was such a long time that Matt was telling me he loved the game, and I was like, I'll check it out at some point. And what made me check it out was that it was an easy platinum.
Yeah.
But then I played it, and I was like, this game is friggin' amazing.
Oh man, that there's some bits that just break your
So,
heart.
the premise of
worst.
it, I like how we want to talk about Metal Gear Solid, but I kind of like just talking about these games in general. The premise of it is that you're playing as this teenager who witnesses a tragic event, but then in the same moment discovers she can rewind time.
Yeah.
And so she tries to rewind time and correct the event. And then you spend most of the game, every time you make a decision, it gives you two options in a decision, and you choose which one you want, and then afterwards she has a little thought blurb about what the decision means.
Oh,
and
maybe I should have done that.
She goes, maybe if I did it the other way, it would have worked out better.
Yeah.
And it gives you, what was it, L1 or L2? It gives you the prompt, and you can go, whoop, and it rewinds all the way back to where the decision is, and then you can go, all right, I'll make the other decision. But it never gives you the actual full implications of the decision. If you do it the other way, instead, she then, I think the first thing you can do is you can either tell the principal what you saw happen, the person you saw getting attacked, or you can lie about it. And if you tell him, he acts all weird about it, and he's like, oh, this is a serious matter, we'll deal with it. But then right after, the main character Max, she thinks to herself, she's like, he didn't believe my story, this isn't going to really get anywhere. She's like, and the guy that attacked this chick is now going to know I dobbed him in, I've just painted a huge target on my back. She goes, what if I did it the other way and didn't tell him? And if you do it the other way, she gets in super big trouble. The guy's like, you're always making a nuisance of yourself, blah blah blah, this is going to affect your grades or something. She's like, oh, I could have just tanked my future in school, what if I did it the other way? So it never really tells you what your decision's going to mean. You have to sort of judge for yourself, which is weird because
it's like real life.
These games like to put you in the perspective of the character, and yet you can't shape everything about them. That's what I liked about Firewatch, because it had decisions you could make, but from the very beginning of the game, the main character Henry is just flawed. You can't make him the perfect good guy like you can in all these other games. He's just not a good guy. As much as he tries, he's got his problems. And same with the chick that you talk to, Delilah. She's just very flawed, and you can't really fix that. And that's what I liked about that game, because it's so much being oh, you can shape it to be everything you want. And then
that's the thing with games like that. A lot of them try and go for that.
But there's always a starting point and an ending point to those games, and no matter what happens in between, you have to get to the same end point for their vision to become through. So with the Walking Dead game, it gives you choices to save certain people, and sometimes you can save them all, sometimes you can only save one in a situation, sometimes you can't even save anybody in a situation, but it gives you the choices to make you feel like you're making a choice that makes a difference. But by the very end of it, there has to be this person, this person, and this person alive, and it doesn't matter what happens to anybody else. They can die or live at any other point in the game. It doesn't affect the ending of the game, so the decisions don't really feel like they are worth much. Whereas, I think I kind of prefer how it is done in Heavy Rain. Because there's points in the game where your character can't die because you need to make them this far in the game. If your characters could die in the first chapter they appear in, that would be it. Your game would be over. It'd be really stupid. So they have a limit on when your characters can actually die, but you can get them all to the end of the game, or you can get some of them to the end of the game and then some of them die. But there's just a list of endings you can get and possible ways to make those endings happen, and I think that's a really good way to do it, because there's no definitive way that the game ends, and it doesn't need to lead into another game. It's that is shaped by player choice by the end of it.
The thing is, I like those different kinds of things for different reasons. Like Heavy Rain, I love that game so much. It's a great
such a
game.
good game.
It eventually got a lot of flack
I don't know why.
for various
I
reasons,
still don't get it.
but it was amazing. There's plot points that are wrong and whatever, but who cares? It was a great game. And like the whole way through, you get all these choices, you do things how you want, and it ends up a bunch of different ways. And that game leads, everything points towards the ending, and Life is Strange kind of made you think more about your choices. It wasn't about like the end goal, it was just like, this is life, and you need to think about how your choices affect people around you and all that sort of stuff. Like some choices you make, I played it through twice, and the first time I played it through, I was nice, I was doing things well, how I was gonna do it anyway, being people's friends and whatever. And the second time, I just played it like a total dick, and I felt horrible a lot of the times through it. I was like, oh man, these are characters I care about now, and I'm just ruining lives basically. But it was just done so well. I love that game so much. I made her ringtone my ringtone.
It was his
and all that
ringtone for
sort
a
of
long
stuff.
time. Like, I mean, when I bought it and you came around and were watching me play it a bit, and then I'd hear the tone and I'd look at the game and be like, did I just get a message in the game? Nah, it was Matt's phone.
Yeah,
going
or the
off.
game would go off and I'd be like, oh, is that me? Nah.
But see, that game had ways you could finish it differently as well. Like,
There's only two ways really in the end.
but you can
But the decisions
you
along
can
the
change what
way.
characters make it and like what friendships you make a lot more.
Yeah.
I won't spoil anything, but
you.
you can have certain characters not live till the end of it.
The,
Or you can have these same characters be your best mates by the end of it, trying to help you figure out what the hell's going on.
yeah,
It's really cool.
it was really good. There was some good twists in it. I'd absolutely recommend it to people. And that game was not very expensive, and it was amazing.
You could play it through twice, you could play it through 3 times, 4 times. You could do
that
it-
game hit the sweet spot for price, like really good price, really good game.
really good value for money, yeah.
It was fantastic. I really think it should get more publicity
yeah.
and attention, all this stuff. Yeah, I think it might have got Indie Game of the Year, possibly.
Maybe. It's
I'm
too
not
hard to
sure.
tell now. There's too many video game awards
Yeah.
ceremonies, and the main ones that everyone cared about are now gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do we listen to? Like, X website could give Game of the Year for
Even
last
the
year.
music in that game was fantastic.
Yeah, it was very
Oh.
good. It was very good music.
So good.
This episode thing moves into a topic I didn't even envision talking about, but the new Hitman game, which comes out next, I think it was next Thursday, which I'm going to get,
Yeah.
and it's going to be episodic.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I didn't.
So
Sort of.
when you buy it, it comes with the intro
Maybe I
pack,
did.
which has a prologue level and then I think it's the Paris chapter, and you can replay those as much as you want. And it has like contracts mode where you can make certain contracts based around those levels.
Yeah.
And I think a new one called escalation mode where you get told different ways to kill targets, and then if you do that, it makes the next one harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
But over, I think it's a 6 month period, it's going to come out with new chapters for the game to make it feel more like it's evolving and like a real life thing.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be like, isn't there some game mode where like the target is only there for a bit, like live targets, and
Yeah.
if you miss your chance, if you screw it up and they leave, that's
Yeah,
it.
and there was a certain thing about like a few people get that target as well. So if someone kills it before you, then
You miss out.
that target's gone.
It's
You
like a
don't get
limited
chance.
thing in so many
I
different
think it's
ways.
really cool.
It's interesting, yeah. My concept for a good Hitman game, or a good Hitman like element, would be a co-op version
Yeah.
where it's like you're with another Agent 47 or like some nondescript. That's gonna stink, by the way. I just farted.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, some
Smell it.
other some other nondescript assassin that disguises himself as well, and you can like come up with new tactics, like you come up with new tactics like have one guy be like the showman. He takes like all the attention,
Yeah, that's
and
what
then
I was gonna say.
while he has all the attention, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna slip in and kill my target. And then once your mate goes away and all the attention comes back, everyone's like, oh shit, this guy just died and we missed it. And it's
And
like it opens up so many different avenues of possibilities.
And I think it'd be interesting to, like, say it was just like at a party or something. It's like some famous dude's party, and he's the target, or like it's his kid's party, but the man's the target, and then like one player is like a clown, and one is like a a chef or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Like
then,
a caterer.
Yeah, and so like there'll be two ways to play it. Like the clown gets everyone's attention, and the chef poisons his meal or whatever. Or the chef could like smash everything over and fall over, and oh no, and then the clown comes in.
And it also opens up a way for a competitive game mode as well,
Yeah.
where there's two Agent 47s and they're both competing to see who can kill the target first.
That kind of ties into our game.
It does, it really does.
So we want to make this game where you both have a common goal. This is a co-op game, by the way.
It's a co-op competitive game at the same time.
Yeah. So you'd both have
It's like a list of objectives.
yeah,
But you don't-
certain goals that you're both going for, but then you both have individual goals that will in turn dick over the other player.
And it'll be individual goals that only come up on your list that the other player might not know about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, one of their goals might be prevent this from happening. And so you might be doing something and like, say I'm player 1, Matt's player 2, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go do this thing. Can you just like cover the area? And you might get sus on me and be like, what's he doing? I think I might need to stop him from that. And you come along to inspect what I'm doing. And like, say it's like, oh, you have to plant a bomb. So like, I go into like this metro, like subway station area and like blend in and plant a bomb. And you're like watching me from afar, even though I told you to like keep an eye out. And you're like, I need to go and stop that. So like, you have to try and avoid being spotted by me. And like, you come around. And there's like misdirection and all sorts of stuff going on. Like, I might be radioing and being like, where are you, man? You were just near me. And you're like, oh, no. I'm just taking care of this thing. And then I'll be back. And then I get sus on you and be like, what's he taking care of? And she's like, it's building trust and then building mistrust at the same time. And at the end of it, it gives you the complete list of objectives for each player. And you're like, I knew it. You were doing that thing that I had to stop.
Yeah, it'd just be a really interesting game, especially if like just putting it in like a Hitman scenario.
It's cool to play around with the format of things like that. Like, they're always like, oh, the game's either co-op or it's competitive, or like co-op competitive is like, oh, you just compete with points. Like you score more points than the other player while being co-op. And it's like, I want it to be more interesting. Like the objective idea to me would just be like, it's a really cool way of making you not trust the person you're meant to trust.
Yeah, but like say if it was a Hitman thing, like back to the party thing. So you're a chef, I'm a clown, and both of our missions is to kill the same dude, and we both get paid either way, but we get paid more if we actually take him out.
Yeah.
So we'd have to try and figure
right.
out how each other's trying to kill them, and then stop that from happening while we're trying to kill them.
So like, if my payment would be more if like, say, I lit him on fire using the barbecue. Because in one of the Hitman games, you can spray lighter fluid onto a barbecue. When the chick uses it, lights are on fire. It's like, say I'd get more money for doing that, but you would get more money for poisoning his food, and you've already done that. I have to try and like intercept the food and stop it from getting to him. Well, I don't know. You could be off trying to take out someone else, or like trying to set something else up.
With secondary targets would be cool as well.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that would be very interesting.
any developers listening, you hit us up.
I don't know. Do we want to talk about our VR ideas before we wrap it up, or do we want to save it?
I think we'll save it.
We'll save it.
Yeah,
Alright, so I think that'll do it for
a
now.
whole nother can of monkeys.
And I can't
Big barrel of worms.
the band, the Monkeys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. If you've got any other topics you think we should discuss, just drop them down in the comment section. I'll do research. Matt will do some research. Drop my pen. That's cool. I wasn't even using the pen anyway. Didn't expect to catch that either.
Yeah, we'd like
Yeah,
to
if you
get
have
your guys' opinions.
Any suggestions, we would honestly, if it's interesting enough, we'll find it, we'll read about it, and we'll talk about it and see what our opinions are, and then even see what your opinion is, and see if...
Just open up a dialogue.
On this as well, if you disagree with anything we say, we're not going to take offence to it. Just
Yeah, we'd be happy to.
post down below, as long as you're not a douche about it. If you're like reasonable and like you're open to discussing it, we'll be happy to be like, yeah, let's talk about it. Well, we'll talk about it, but like, let's type about it. We'll discuss it in the comment section.
From Skype.
Yeah, I'll give you my Skype details. Nat.
Wow. Alright, well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you enjoyed Catch Pillow Talk.
Yeah. Tune in more for next Wednesday for more Couch Pillow Talk.
More goodness.
More happy times.
Maybe we'll talk about movies.
Yeah. or just leave a comment and say what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, do it.
That'd be cool. Alright. See you later. Thanks for joining us.
Hey boy.